Whether your beer is in a bottle, can, or glass, kick back and relax. It's Better on Draft.
Hello and welcome to Better on Draft, episode 372. Today we will be talking to Eric Bean from Columbus Brewing Company. And for you Indiana folks who are listening, that is Columbus, Ohio. This is the only state I've ever been in where I have to specify Columbus, Ohio. My name is Rob, and with me today is Wendy. Wendy, what are you drinking?
Today I am drinking a Werewolves of Michigan from City Built Brewing Company. It is their West Coast IPA.
Awesome. I am going to be up there in a few weeks. I am planning to get to City Built while I'm up in Grand Rapids.
Do so.
And for myself, I have a, what is this? This is a Upland Brewing Polar Bear Kisses. I got a growler of that last night, and so we are finishing it tonight. And
Fantastic.
With us today is Eric Bean of Columbus Brewing Company. Hello, Eric. How are you?
Hello.
Who are you? And what are you drinking?
I'm great. I've got in my little Piggly Wiggly koozie here, I've got our Ohio Light, which is our newest beer this year. We just put out in package. Excited, nice, light, easy drinking beer. I'm not prepared for the big stout yet. It's still hot.
Yeah, mine is more of a stout of necessity.
Yeah.
I was telling Wendy before the show that it's about 7 a.m. tomorrow. I am driving up to Madison, Wisconsin to Great Taste of the Midwest because I got some last minute tickets. And so we have this delicious growler in the fridge that has to be finished.
Yeah, I'm not jealous at all.
Yeah.
So, Eric, thank you for joining us. You come to us from Columbus Brewing Company in Columbus, Ohio. Can you tell us about yourself and about Columbus Brewing Company?
Yeah. So actually today marked my 20th anniversary with Columbus Brewing Company. I bought in originally in 2005 or 2006. So I spent 6 months kind of training and working with the brewery, and then took over as part owner back then. My background, I started brewing right out of college. So started brewing back in 96, worked for a couple different breweries, went to UC Davis. And so when the opportunity came up to take over, at that point we were a 1,500 barrel brewery, little bit of bottles, mostly draft. And I took over coming from a pub brewing experience. I thought, well, this would be great. This will be really easy. Just make some beer. You send it to the wholesaler, and off we go. And
it was that easy, right?
Oh yeah, no, it was absolutely that easy. The last 20 years have been a blast. But no, I kind of quickly found my way through that. We've navigated, through this, and we've just kind of grown slowly. And our current facility that we're brewing in, we built in 2015, opened it. First brews went into the tank in 2016. And then we also have a restaurant on the east side of town. Get two facilities confused. The east side of town, where we've got a 10-barrel brew house there. So we're brewing on site, and it's a 13,000 square foot restaurant.
Okay. I'm going to talk about my experience at Columbus and then let Wendy get some questions in. But I worked in Dublin, Ohio for a few months. And one of my treats when I was working out there was to drive into Columbus Brewing. And pretty sure I would usually get the jambalaya. I don't remember what the menu exactly was, but I'm pretty sure I would get the jambalaya and, of course, a couple of beers and then drive back up to Dublin. But from what I remember, again, this was a while ago, that facility was on a river, I think, and right near Germantown, maybe?
Yeah, so that was our old facility. That we closed down when we built the new facility a little further. We're right off 70 still right there. And then and currently our tap room in our production facility is closed, but we'll be reopening that in the fourth quarter this year. Our main restaurant then, or our only restaurant, it's in Franklin park right by the Brighton Park Conservatory. Beautiful little area. It's an old trolley barn, so it's where they stored the trolleys and worked on them. So beautiful 130-year-old brick building.
Sounds like I need to get out there.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's always such a weird thing, when you walk in there. I'm like, I love this space, and it doesn't feel very humble to feel that way, but it's not. I just think it's such a cool building. When we first saw it, we had to take it over, and it's been quite a wild ride for the last. We thought we were going to open in March of 2020, and it.
Something happened.
Yeah.
I personally think that's a pretty awesome feeling to have going into work every day.
Oh yeah. I love it. It's fun. It's just always fun. It's like, I hate to see stuff like how beautiful it is, and I want our guests to feel that way, but it also feels strange, like just the bragging side of it.
You are breaking up. I heard you say that you hope that the guests also feel it's beautiful.
Yeah, sorry. No, I just hope. I hope that when our guests look and they feel it is as beautiful.
Yeah. Wendy, do you want to get started in questions?
Yes. So I am actually going to be in Columbus in a few weeks for a conference. So tell me, what should I expect when I come to visit your brewery?
Oh well, when you first arrive, you're going to see that beautiful brew building, but then on top of it, this in the middle of the restaurant is our draft tower. We've had it custom built 24. I guess the section is 18 faucets, and along with it, then you'll be able to view our brew house and big mural that's a depiction from some of our old artwork there. And then it's a full menu too. So, along with the beer, we didn't want just a traditional kind of, what I think is the more modern tap room of food trucks. We wanted a full restaurant experience. So we've got kitchen, pizzas, burgers, salads. We run the whole gamut from pretty healthy to not very healthy.
Do you still have the jambalaya?
No. So, that's a whole nother story, but that was actually that restaurant was not ours. It was affiliated. Oh. Our former business partner had set that up. And so over time that, it evolved or devolved maybe is a better
right. It went
word.
Its way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So walk us through the beer hall, the seating, patio. Tell us a little bit about the experience there.
Sure. So, when you first walk in the main space, we've got a bar. I think it seats about 50 people, and then we've got booths, tables. Kind of, pick your comfort there, and then the patio's got 2 fire pits and plenty of outdoor seating. As long as it's, this July was a little rough on that patio. It was hot, so there's not a lot of shade out there. We've got umbrellas, but that doesn't help when it's 95 degrees.
Right.
Yeah.
And then on top of it,
too.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's very many places in America that did not feel that heat wave this summer.
Mm-hmm.
But in the back, we've got on the back side of it, we have another space that's private event space that we open up on weekends during the wintertime. With the patio, we don't need that extra seating, but once the patio closes up, we end up opening that up on the weekends for dining back there. And that's a second bar, so we've got another set of taps back there. They all flow from the same draft system, but so we've got 2 full bars in the building.
Okay. How many taps did you have on there? So
it's the main bar has 18, but we've got they're mirrored, so we actually have it set up, and we're running 24 beers, 12 of them mirrored on both sides, and then we have the additional 6 are separate beers.
Okay.
And we maintain anywhere from 20 to 24. It ebbs and flows. And it's always, we occasionally run into that panic zone of like, okay, this got to go on tap. Where are we going to go? But we've timed it up pretty well.
So you said you had 2 locations?
Yeah, well, we've got our main production facility, which is on the west side of downtown, and right now, so we had a tap room there that we closed down in 22. We opened it. We were open for 6 months in 2019 to 2020. Closed it for COVID for a year, and then we opened it up for a year, and then while we ran into staff, all of the issues that the restaurant industry's run into. And we just put all of our energy into getting the beer hall open. And now that we feel like we've got that momentum going well, we're going to open back up in the fourth quarter. We're going to do Tracksuit Santa is our holiday bar or holiday beer, and we're going to do a holiday themed bar around that to kind of kick it back open, something fun for November, December, and then open it up just regular tap room after that in January.
So what you're telling me is I'm coming to Columbus just a little too early.
Yeah.
For all the fun stuff.
All the fun. Well, I think beer hall is a lot of fun. I mean, I'm excited. I think it'll be really cool. I think the staff is excited about the brewers are all very excited to have the tap room back open at the brewery instead of having to leave work and drive across town. So that part, we're excited about. But I think the holiday theme is going to be. My first reaction was like, yeah, I think this will work, but boy, this is going to take a lot of effort, and we've got a lot of people out shopping for holiday pieces.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about Columbus Brewing, how it got started, how you got into brewing.
So, it's funny, there's a little bit difference in time there, but 1988 is when Columbus Brewing Company was originally founded. And at the time, it was located in the brewery district. And Scott Francis, who unfortunately just passed about 2 weeks ago, was the original brewmaster there. And he worked with the Edwards family, who's a local development group. They got their hands on a lot of businesses, but they owned a lot of the real estate in the old brewery district, and they decided that would be the location to found the original brewery. They put that in there, and it was just draft only for the first, several years. And slowly, kind of, they had some bars of their own in that area, so there was a lot of the beer was being sold kind of right on premise in those handful of bars in that district. And then it was going, they were shipping it around town. So, I mean, from the get-go, we had wholesalers. I mean, I think very, very early, the first year or so, it was self-distributed, but quickly realized that this needed to move to having wholesale partners to ship the beer around the state. So, I mean, probably, just a few years later, I always, when people ask me how I got started, I'm like, I'm just that right age that, 1993 is when I turned 21, and around that era, all these, you started hearing talk about craft beer, and I got really excited. And I remember calling my dad and saying, I decided I want to be a brewer. And the level of disappointment on the other end. And he just said, look, you got to finish school. Trust me, finish college. If you still want to do it, then that'll make sense. And I just, started home brewing a little bit and trying to drink as much beer as possible. I think I went to Kent State, so we got really lucky there right in that period that Tim Rathstettler, who was one of the original brewers at Great Lakes, opened up a brewery in Akron. So they would run these discounts on Monday nights, and we would roll down there and try all of these beers. It was just, it's like to be in the Midwest at that period and have that kind of experience, we're pretty lucky. I mean, I think there was a lot of places on the West Coast where that early on you could get some pretty phenomenal beers, but to have those beers like that being brewed there and getting a taste of all of them, I just got really excited. And then when I graduated, I wasn't sure what I was going to do, and I was painting houses. And this guy, I look back at it now and I realize now that I'm about that age, I'm like, that guy knew I sucked. at painting. But he made it real positive and told me I should look elsewhere and I should try and figure out what I want to do with my life. So I went down the street to a brewery and ended up, I just got hired on the spot. I mean, it's just the right time, right day, right time kind of thing. Walked in and got hired, ended up spending 2 years at brewery in Cleveland Heights there. It was Henrik Orlick, who was the brewmaster there at the time, this was his first job in the U.S. as a brewer, had been trained in Germany. And so I got instant education, learning a lot about brewing. And the best piece of advice he gave me is like, look, there aren't trained brewers in this country. He's like, there's a lot of really smart guys. There's a lot of people making good beer, but nobody knows how to run a brewery. You really ought to go to school. And a fear of learning language kept me from going to Germany. So I ended up going to UC Davis in '98, and it's just I look back and think how fortunate, just kind of things fell right into place. And then I bounced around for a handful of years, a couple different breweries in California, Washington State, moved back to Ohio. My now wife was living here and we were dating long distance, and I got a job with Gordon Biersch, opened up their restaurant, was with them for 5 years. And then the opportunity to come to Columbus Brewing Company, I got a phone call, and I was working on, like every brewer, working on that business plan to go open my brew pub. And they called, and I was like, well, this isn't what I want to do. You know what? Let me talk to let's look at it. Would they be willing to sell me the brewery? And I should have known better when they offered to sell it. I should have known there was a hook.
They agreed too quickly.
Yeah. So because I knew it was going to be a lot of work. So I knew, it's like, I just want a piece of this. And we, by the end, we were negotiating a deal for me to buy 100% of it over 5 years. So it's been a lot of, I guess a lot of hard work and a lot of kind of just lucky moments falling into place.
It sounds like a long pedigree there too. You got around.
What I got out of that story was that you went back to Ohio willingly for love.
Yes. No, absolutely. No, I love living here. I don't know that my wife always does, but having lived all over the country, I know how expensive. I mean, that's, Columbus, Ohio, while it's, the whole country is getting more expensive. Columbus, Ohio has grown a little faster than some of our folks would have liked, but you could still buy a house here. That's Seattle, San Francisco. You're not doing that.
I grew up in Cincinnati, and I would still move back there.
Yeah.
No shade to Columbus. It is my preferred.
I'm from Michigan. City. I'm not allowed to say anything to that.
Right. Yeah. Definitely, you can't go to Ohio.
No, that's.
Oh no, I can go there. I will say Ohio has some damn good beer, so I will not tell people not to go to Ohio.
Yeah, I feel that way because I'm a Kent State alum, not from the Ohio State. So I'm a little more open-minded than some individuals that work for us who won't say that name of the place you live.
Right.
So I am drinking the Werewolves of Michigan.
Yeah.
And it is blue and yellow on there. I'm not gonna lie.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
So, which is funny because they're from Grand Rapids, and I'm pretty sure they don't actually have a U of M tie. But whatever. That's you know how that goes. I don't really have a college football tie, so I just grew up in Ypsilanti, which is basically Ann Arbor. We didn't have a choice as to who we rooted for.
Right. No, you don't hear either. I mean, the reason we don't have a professional football team is because we have a professional football team.
Right.
In Columbus. Unlike in Cleveland, who I still root for, but it's hard to call them a professional football team some years.
Again, Cincinnati.
Yeah. I don't like to acknowledge that team down there.
Yeah.
Who they? No, seriously though, I'm from the Detroit area.
Yeah.
Right.
And I grew up moving all over, so that was part of the reason my brewing career was so easy for me to move around a bunch. So we lived in Southfield when I was a little kid. So I think that may be a little bit less of my aversion for the state because of
Makes
that.
sense.
Yeah.
So tell me, since we are, I'm going to be there soon, tell me a little bit more about the Columbus beer scene and what is your part in it?
Wow. This is a tough question. I feel like I've gotten so removed from it in certain ways. I mean, I was the president of the state of the Ohio Craft Brewers Association. And at that point, there was probably like 30 breweries in the whole state. I don't know what the number is of breweries in Columbus officially is, but if somebody told me it was 20 or 30 now, I wouldn't be shocked. There's some great pedigree because we have a lot of former brewers who are running those breweries. There's that, and then there's some fantastic breweries around town. I mean, it kind of depends on what section of the city you're in, which is cool. I mean, that it didn't used to be. It was Columbus Brewing Company and Barley's downtown, and now at this stage, I mean, there's just so many breweries. I don't even know where to begin. I feel like the great thing is they're still opening, which is, I think crazy, but I'm an entrepreneur. So while I think people are nuts, like I think people thought I was nuts. So you just got to do it.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about your beer. What's the favorite beer that you brew?
Well, I mean, we are. It's funny because I mean we're getting known more and more for doing lagers, but I mean we've been an IPA house since 2005. I mean that was when I bought the brewery. I'm like, there's nobody making IPAs in the Midwest, so we immediately. I mean, at the time when I bought the brewery, we were packaging pale ale, a nut brown, and a golden ale, and kind of immediately put IPA on draft, started building draft business, and it's just been off to the races. Since 2010, Columbus IPA has been our number one seller. Our number two is Bodie, our double IPA, and that's I think between the two of them, it's almost 80% of our total production.
I saw Bodie on one of the lists I looked at when I was doing, pre-show research, and it brought back so many memories. I just remember that as one of the early IPAs that I drank and enjoyed. So
yeah, no, I mean, it's that one. It was back in 2000. I guess it was 2009 was the first time we brewed that beer, and to be honest, that kind of came out. It was like there was a lot of talk about these beers coming out of the West Coast, and no crystal malt, no just 2-row and a little bit of Dex, and I'm like, well, that sounds delicious. Let's figure out how to do it. So we, kind of, it's funny now, like, you can go try any beer anywhere, anytime now. But back, even 15 years ago, it was like, I'm reading a homebrew magazine going, I got to figure out how to make these things. What are we going to do? I mean, the internet existed, but there wasn't a whole lot of information out there on it. So that just popped up. Yeah. No, I think sometimes people, it's like our staff looks at me crazy. Like, what do you mean you couldn't just go, like there weren't beer bars. There weren't, there wasn't, if you wanted to try something, you were getting on a plane. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that, the IPAs is kind of what we've been known for. I mean, that is the majority of our production. And over the last 5 years, because I trained with a German brewmaster, spent 5 years with Gordon Biersch. I love lagers. I love drinking them. And I really like making them. They're such a challenging beer to produce and have clean beer at the end of it.
Every year, someone declares it's the year of the lager. And one of these years it will be.
Lagers are the new sexy right now. A lot of people you're seeing them pop up a lot more.
It's fun. I mean, we introduced, and now I think it was in 2021, we introduced Columbus Lager, and it was just a little ahead of its time, and it did okay for us, but really didn't, we just didn't grab the market like we wanted to. But we knew, it's like, you're in the right place, you just don't have the right product yet. So last summer we were going back and forth to what we were going to do. And we marketing came back and they're like, we're going to make Ohio Light. And I, of course, then had to leave that meeting and go tell the brewers they had 30 days to figure out how to make a light beer. And I it may be an exaggeration. I think they had 45. So we just immediately, it was like, brew, go. I knew we could get the flavor. I knew the finished flavor. It was like, how do we get the calories? And it was such a different approach as a craft brewer to be like, just keep brewing the same beer. Keep, like, as soon as it's done attenuating, get their lab results, and let's mash the next one in. We're not worried about all we want to know is where it's attenuating to. And I think it took us about 4 weeks to get that just right, to get the calories down to 105. And then we could finally start fermenting out the beers. And we weren't even lagering those first batches, because all we were trying to do was get that attenuation down. So it's funny, probably one of the most exciting beers of my entire brewing career has been brewing light beer. Now the brew team who had to do it, they probably don't have that same fond memory of those 6 weeks. But all I had to do was check in and say, how we doing? What are the results? What's coming back from the lab? So
yeah.
Which, I mean, it's funny. That was actually the second time, because I don't know if you can remember back. I mean, I think it was 2000 when Sam Adams first came out with Sam Adams Light, and that's when I was with Gordon Biersch. And I got a phone call because I was, from the boss, and he's like, hey, look, I found out it's launched in Ohio. You got to get these bottles and ship them to this lab in Oregon. And I just blew my mind that we were able to, we could get an analysis of a beer and figure out all of, what's the alcohol, what's the attenuation level, how many IBUs are they putting in? It was like, we can do this. Now we do it every day at our lab, but I mean, 20 years ago there weren't. I would guess that Sierra Nevada and Deschutes and New Belgium probably are the three places in the country that had a lab.
Right.
Right.
Now I know Sun King has one nearby, and they test other people's beer for them.
Yeah, no, we go through. I mean, we try and do the same thing. I mean, I think most of the breweries is because we all remember when we couldn't. We'll run samples for folks and help plate beers if they're having issues. It's just we've all been there.
Yeah, and you make the craft scene better. People are just going to want to come out to Columbus and walk to all the breweries they can walk to.
Yeah.
Right.
Like Wendy's going to be in Columbus, and
yeah.
Yeah, I don't like to walk though. I like to Uber.
Oh yeah.
Not gonna lie.
That opens the range up quite a bit.
Yeah.
Arthritis, man.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. We've had just kind of 4th Street has been one of the corridors. Seventh Son is on it. Wolf's Ridge, Jackie O's opened a place on 4th, and they're far enough away that you can't really walk it. Hoof Hearted used to be right in there, so that was always like the brewery corridor. And now from our location, we've got Gemut, which is a German lager brewery, and then we just found out that Dankhaus is going to be opening really pretty close. They're opening a new spot down the street. I hope I'm not revealing anything. I don't know where I heard that, so if that was their secret, I'm
That's right. Nobody watches this.
Yeah, but
fingers crossed. You just broke a secret.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
I think it's public. I just, because I always feel like I'm the last to know. So sometimes I'll blurt things and find out like, oh no, that you were one of the early ones, but I don't think this one. I think this is pretty public.
Usually, if they're about to open, most people know about it at that point.
Yeah. Well, that's why I have no idea where they are, like in time, in terms of it, because these build outs can take. I mean, our build out took 18 months. Yeah, it took 18 months. So.
Yeah,
we were
absolutely.
to a brewery in Cozumel, and she was telling us about how that one went when they didn't really know how to zone it or do any of the.
No, it's we're being in Columbus, we're pretty lucky. When we built a new production facility, we ran into a little bit of issues with how they were going to handle some of our effluent and all of that. But now, Columbus is pretty good. Everybody knows what they're dealing with, but there's still breweries opening in small towns that are still dealing with, like they're making nuclear waste or something.
Yeah.
Yes. We lost one here, Naylor's Brewing. And that was just it. It was their sewer bill was too high. They couldn't stay in business in that model.
Yeah.
I was just talking to somebody in Michigan. They had the same issue, that the city couldn't wrap their head around the fact that they weren't just putting stuff down the drain.
Right. It's a lot of water going down that drain.
Right.
Yeah, right. I mean, and I think, as brewers we've learned, and I think there was probably a lot more bad things happening 10 years ago, but you can't just dump things down the drain anymore. You've got to make sure they're neutralized, and don't just send a tank of beer down the drain. That's a
yes, right.
It's a big no-no.
Yeah.
So you talked about you've been doing lagers. You started light beers.
Yeah.
Are there any other techniques that you want to get to? I keep waiting for someone to say they want to start bunkhousing their beers or something fun like that.
Yeah. Well, we went through that period. We've got a 5,000 square foot space in the backside of our brewery. We've got fooders back there. All kinds of tanks, or all kinds of. I don't even know how many wine barrels we have. That it's just as we built it and they did not come. We just realized, it's like we had such great response. People loved them, but you kind of have to make a good amount of sour beer in order for it to come out well. And then all of a sudden, what do you do with it?
Sours are those ones people want to chase the different flavors, and it's tough to make many different flavors of sours at the same time. And then how many pints of sour can you drink in a session?
Yeah, no, it's what we learned kind of quickly. And, we had some good luck. I think we had some fantastic beers. We won. Now I think this is accurate, that we won 2 medals with our sour beer between GABF and World Beer Cup. But, that only goes so far. There's only so many people looking to see it, to have the enamel ripped off their teeth and their jawbones tighten up.
Right. But I love it.
Yeah. No, I do too. That was that was like one of those I think I'm both that very romantic. The early stages of my career were these reading Michael Jackson beer books, going, I can't wait to be able to go to Belgium and and make these sour beers. I just and we finally after going to UC Davis, I'm like, I don't think you should make these beers in a brewery that is not 100% dedicated.
Right.
Right. Everything's technically contaminated on purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. So our production facility allowed us that, and it's on the back side of the building. We were able to segregate out, plus the lab to be able to, to watch for it. So we got pretty lucky there. And, I'd like to think someday we'll find some way of bringing some of those beers back. But right now it's just a big vinegar warehouse.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's a lot of them. I know there's a lot of, there's some big breweries that were pretty dedicated to that are no longer using that space for that reason.
Yeah. I see fewer and fewer Upland bottles around me. And I love Upland sours. They're so good.
Yeah, no, they're great. They built such a beautiful facility. That was, I think, between their facility there in Bloomington and Trogs, you look at these, that's sour beer, sour breweries can be really sexy. All that wood looks so cool.
Yes.
But it does.
Apparently there weren't enough of us nerds out there to make those really into businesses.
Yeah.
Well, I'm from Michigan, where we have Jolly Pumpkin, so
yeah,
they made that into an art form.
Yeah, no, that is true. I mean, I think, and that's, I, and I think they were able to survive, and I don't know I don't know what the total production is out of that brewery, but I think building that family of brands helped them out and helped cover some of it. And that's
Absolutely.
that was what kind of killed our plan was like, hey, we got to quit putting money into this thing. We just got to be honest with ourselves. Post COVID, after draft beer falling out, our margins fell out. And it's like, we've got to be a lot more careful with where we invest our money.
Yep.
So you bring up Jelly Pumpkin, or Wendy brought it up, but it's a good example of like they have a great branding strategy, and so I'm just wondering if that's something you're looking at. Like if you manage to bring back sours or something, is that an opportunity for a whole nother line of beer or something, so people know what it is?
Well, and we probably went a little too esoteric on it because we called it L'Atelier de Funk and had really focused our energies on that and wanted this, I wanted this really clean, very like wine, like, more into that Belgian, just clean artwork. And I don't know that helped us, over the years of time. I mean, it's funny. Columbus IPA has survived. And when I took over, I'm that old school brewer that was like, you make pale ale, you make Columbus pale ale, you make Columbus IPA, you make Columbus brown ale. And there was a point where like, we got to figure this out. And Bodie was our first step into, we need fanciful names, as the feds call them. And a little get more, it's making beer isn't just about making beer. I mean, well, maybe making it is. Selling it that's where you've got to have good marketing and branding. And we've been really fortunate. We've worked with 2 different designers over the years. When I first took over, we worked with Element Design, who helped us with some really cool, clean packaging. And then when we were ready to launch into the next phase, into our new facility, we moved to a new designer, and Greg's been with us for 11 years now. And just, really, really talented artist who we've been able to work with. And he was the first artist I've worked with where, like, after you got done talking, he went and changed it. I've had a lot of experience with graphic designers in the past who you tell them what you don't like, and then they come back next day later, a week later, and they're like, well, what do you think of it now? I'm like, that's still the same thing. And and that's probably just as stubborn as brewers can get, of like, I don't care if you don't like it. This is how we make it. It's
right. Right.
Well, you bring up a good point, because there's a lot of breweries that make really good beer that in the last few years have shut down.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that has to do with not so much the fact that they make really good beer, but the fact that they're not marketing it the way it needs to be marketed.
Yeah. I'll try and not say names, but there was some large restaurant groups that I used to always say, hey, as busy as they are, it tells you it's about location. It's about marketing and branding. It is not about the quality of the beer. And I think on the opposite end, you can see, you see these breweries who make incredible beer who go under, and you're like, how is that possible? It's super expensive. That's the part that I didn't realize, if you're in the taproom brew pub model, you go buy another 10-barrel tank, you can kind of cash flow that. You start buying 60, 120 barrel tanks, our debt is not insignificant. I'm worth if you could get rid of the negative, I'd be worth a lot of money. But to grow a brewery, I mean, it's just constantly taking on debt.
And if you're upscaling to a 60, 120 barrel tank, what is your distribution model then? Like, how far are you distributing? How many are you getting outside Ohio? Like,
so our production is, all of our beer is sold in the state of Ohio. So we cover the entire state. And, I think the breakdown sort of, Columbus is about 50, maybe 55% of our total sales. Cleveland's a significant portion, probably in the around 30, and then it kind of spreads out the rest of the state. We entered Cincinnati really late, and we're still just kind of battling, trying to get our foot into that piece of the market. But we've been in Cleveland for over 10 years now, and that's a very important part of, of our annual production is going up into that area.
Okay. So the New Glarus of Ohio.
Yeah. I think that it's probably a little bit of the same mindset of it. Like I wanted to control the beer. I mean, before we built our current facility, we were running on a not very good brew house. We didn't have a great boil. We were putting beer into bottles with a Maheen bottling line, which is also an oxygen injector. It's like, I know this isn't, the shelf life's not good. I don't want to ship it all over. And then as we built a new facility and spent a lot of money on a glass bottling line that is now a paperweight, a really expensive canning line that, can run 200 cans a minute, really low total package oxygen. We could ship, I'd be more comfortable shipping it, but we've got our niche and we feel comfortable that, there's enough market share for us left in Ohio that we can max ourselves out for quite a few years.
Yeah, sounds like it. Yeah, there's
still and it's Cincinnati. Really, and that's our big hope. It's like, it's opening new markets is very expensive, and we kind of go, well, is this the year we want to invest? And you got to put the people there in front of it, and that's the next big investment for us in Cincinnati is having we've dabbled our toes, we've had some good reps, we start making traction, and then something changes, and we're still selling a decent amount down there. It's just not where we want to be.
Yeah, it's tricky. They have some big hitters in Cincinnati, like Brian Geist and such.
No, it's and Cincinnati is very loyal to Cincinnati beer, and Cleveland is loyal to Great Lakes and Fatheads and Masthead. There's some great breweries up there, but they've let us in. We got in early enough that while we're not locals, we are. And, it's been a little, that market's been easier for us to navigate.
Nice.
I was just trying to look up because there was another brewery that we talked to that they didn't distribute because they require their beer to be refrigerated like the whole way along. Like you're not allowed to.
Yeah, I used to really, that was something I absolutely believed in, and I would still like to, but there comes a point where if you want to grow, you have to let go of that.
Right. Yeah, it was one of the New England breweries. I don't remember which one now. I was trying to piece it together in my mind, but I totally remember that. So I kind of want to detour a little bit because one of the things that you talked about with growing, one of the things that I truly believe is that the breweries that are rooted in their community are the ones that are going to stick around while everything is kind of falling apart around us. Like we see breweries that have really good beer that disappear, and we see breweries that don't have great beer that are just thriving. And I really believe that has to do with the connection to their community. So what kind of connection do you have to your community?
Yeah. So, that's always been, it's funny, like, and I know we're going to talk greater than the beer community, but first starting in that beer community, that was early on when we were really just a production brewery. It was like, we lived the beer festival circuit because it was the only time we could interact and engage with the beer community. And I think from that's where it kind of spurred like, okay, what else can we do? And so with the beer hall on the east side, a lot of our focus, we try and do fundraisers. We try and work with different charities. We've got the Franklin Park Civics Association that we let them use our space. We do, try and help them with fundraisers, and try and make sure we're part of that community. And I think, over the last 3 years, we just kind of keep nibbling away at like, how can we better impact that? And we did sort of a community picnic this summer that, again, it's like, how do you get these things started? And afterwards you kind of beat it up and go, that wasn't great, but what do we got to do next? And that is the hardest part, I think, of beer, the limited resource you have. How do you donate your time and your resources to help the local, the local economy moving along? So, a big part of it are these events, and different donating to different fundraisers.
That community picnic sounded interesting. I don't think we've heard that one as an example before. Can you talk about that a little?
Yeah, well, I mean, I wish I could. It probably sounds better than it really turned out, but I mean, the goal is for us. The goal is for us to be able to, it's like where the beer hall is in a, it's in a. We're very early. Well, depending on who you ask in that neighborhood, because there's plenty of individuals who have been invested in that community for a lifetime, but there's some redevelopment going on, and that was a big part of it. For us was, I don't want to come into this community that has been working for the last 30 or 40 years and be part of this destroying it. Didn't want to be the carpetbagger who comes in and just says, hey, we're going to take our money and run. So, what could we do? So this event this summer, it was like, how do we end? I can't believe I can't think of what we officially called it, but I'm going to call it the community picnic. And it's how can we, I'll hear about it on Monday. I know that, but, or maybe as soon as I get off the phone, but, how can we work with it and get, there's so many families over there. Not all the families are going to come in and eat in our restaurant on a regular basis, but let's let them know we're there and we're paying attention. We're not just trying to send people off into the neighborhood drunk.
Right. No, I applaud that, because it sounds like a really new and interesting thing that like I said, I don't think we've heard a brewery talk about it before. So I hope you get it to work, because it sounds interesting.
Well, that's what I think. It's tough because these things are expensive, and it's like, when you're trying to do things with folks, how do you, so we set up games and stuff and try and get kids active and participating. So, it's funny, and I know this is a very touchy subject in the beer industry right now, but like, the breweries who say they don't want kids, I'm like, I don't know what you're doing, because if we don't have kids in our brewery, that means we don't have parents, and we want everybody in our facility.
Right. Yeah, we just talked to someone out in Iowa, and they put their brewery there, and then the sports complex developed around them, and so they get a lot of families, like very specific.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, that's what Go ahead.
I went to a brewery in Seattle that didn't allow kids in the brewery. And literally, when my friend and I walked in, there were 2 kids sitting out in front of the brewery while their parents were sitting inside drinking beer.
Yes.
So I guess I don't care if kids are in breweries, as long as they're not like running around acting all crazy. Like, it's the same thing as going to any restaurant.
Yeah.
Control your kids. Like, they shouldn't be running around like maniacs in any restaurant they're in. It's the same thing. That's just my opinion.
No, I mean, I think that's the general opinion. I just, since we're going to stay off politics and religion, we won't say either of those. But I would love that every parent did that. But breweries, for some reason, kind of got a little bit of a safe zone that not every parent that they think it's like they're at their neighbor's house.
Right.
And so, you kind of have to go, well, half of that, I love that. I love that they feel like our space is part, it's just like a place where they hang out. And the other half is like, yeah, but we still, we have other people here who don't want that experience.
Right. Indiana, I don't know what our laws are right now. They keep changing. But my kids, they're old now. They were never allowed in the bars in Indiana. And to enforce this, or to indicate this, bar areas in Indiana have a railing around it of some description. Yeah. It could be absolutely anything. Okay, so anything past that is verboten. Kids can't go there. And I remember taking them to Ohio, because my family is still in Cincinnati, and they get to sit at the bar and have food. And they thought that was the most wonderful illicit thing that they had ever done.
Yeah. No, it is
I'm
funny
pretty
when
sure you
people
can't
are.
sit at the bar in Michigan.
Yeah, no,
They can't.
and yeah, they can in Ohio. So we don't see it that often, but we will. I mean, because some of our brewers bring their kids, and they, of course, the kids want to sit at the bar with dad and hang out and have,
Yeah.
have a root beer or just a water. It's cool.
So we did this at a couple bars, and one of them just very politely said, by 8:00, we want the bar open for patrons, and I can understand that. That's money-making seat there.
Yeah. No, and that's, I mean, and we have that occasionally where you kind of run into that, but for the most part, it's during the daytime, and families are out.
Yep, that's how
It's
we
really
do it too.
funny that you guys are talking about that, because I was just going through like my TikTok drafts, and I found one from when I was in Denver, and we were at a pizza place. It wasn't even a bar. I mean, they had beer, but we were at a pizza place, and I literally just took a video of the kids running wild behind us.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is a pizza place. It wasn't a bar. Like, I was like, why are these kids running around like this?
Yeah. No, I've seen kids laying on the floor playing with cars, and but
see, that wouldn't bother me because they're not running around.
Well, that's true, but when it gets busy and there's just kids laying on the floor, you kind of.
That's true.
Yes, they're a tripping hazard.
You're
always a tripping hazard
trying to
because
hop
they're short.
over them to get the food to people.
Yeah. But what was crazy this year, we did so many high school graduation parties in early June. And it was like, I guess this is a thing. These, these high school, we
my
weren't selling
parents
a
were
ton.
not that cool.
Yeah, well,
sorry, Mom and Dad.
We did not have a high school graduation party. I took off that night to go see the Grateful Dead. That was a different era.
No, I had to get the graduation party because I was told I could get a Letterman jacket or a high school graduation party.
Yeah.
And I didn't get the jacket. So I was like, you're going to give me that party.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think you have so many families where beer, it's back to beer being part of families, which I hope sticks. I mean, I know that's not sticking as well as I'd like. Gen Z's not drinking like we would like them to be, but I've always looked at the beer industry and go, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, they were always beer communities. I mean, all of those states still had small regional back making lager, but they still between, Stroh's and Rolling Rock and all the Heilman breweries in Wisconsin, and they were beer communities. And so that's why craft beer adapted so early and so easily in those states, and down south they weren't. And that's why I think the southern states struggled with getting craft beer, craft breweries established down there. And Ohio's sort of in between. I think, you had Ohio with still a German, background, beer drinking, but it didn't have those same roots as some of the other Midwest states.
Beautiful.
Right? Yeah.
Very
no,
old
that's
Cincinnati
what.
brand.
Yeah. No, that's that old brewery. That's think that thing's still running. That Sam Adams is in there.
Yeah.
Just it's crazy. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been in that plant, but it is. There are sections of it they've redone, and I haven't seen those. The places I've been are dark and scary.
That's awesome. Is there anything coming up that you or something that you're looking forward to doing coming up?
I think a big part, back to kind of what do we do? I mean, this is where we start talking wet hops and hop harvest. So, we've just booked, we do 2 trips out to Yakima every year. We send, I'm going on one of them this year. I went last year. I hadn't been for quite a few years. Our brewing, trying to make sure our brewing team got out there and did the selections. So that part's exciting. And then, planning the wet hops, and we were for a couple years, we were making a beer we called Yakima Fresh. That was a wet hop beer that we put into full production. And I don't know, that wave, all the hop growers were like, whoa, this is taking us way too much time to be shipping all these wet hops out all over the country. So we scaled it back, and this year we're going to it's going to be a small run just in our beer hall for sale in the beer hall, but we're going to can that again this year. And I think the plan is to do another six wet hops. So, it's one of those things that's not great on the financials, but it's such a fun time, and it's great for our customers, our staff. Our brewers mostly love it, other than we're not really set up for whole hops, so there's a lot of shoveling that goes on.
Right. Cleanup is awful.
I'm familiar with that part.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Our beer hall brewery is set up very manual, but we've got two very automated. We've got our pilot brew house is automated, as well as our production brew house. So graining out is real nice there. lot different than, I mean, early in my career, and I was just telling somebody the other day about it, when I was brewing in the Seattle area, we used to stand in the mash tun on the grain and shovel it out, because there was no man-way door to even shovel it out.
Oh, wow.
That's by walking uphill both ways to school.
Yes.
Story.
That's a lot of lifting.
Yeah. No, thank God our industry is a lot safer, but some of the stupid things that used to go on in breweries 25 years ago, just equipment and just no safety standards whatsoever.
Right. We are coming up. Go ahead, Wendy. Do it.
As a safety person in the HVAC industry for a lot of years, I totally get that. Because when I go into breweries, I look around and I'm like, no, absolutely not.
Yeah, no, we have a lot of SOPs. We try and, I know we don't do everything perfect, but every time we discover, the days are gone where you can be like, oh, who cares? Just go ahead and do that. Or the days of, the days of lifting each other up 20 feet in the air on the front of a forklift to dry hop. I
with
hope
nothing holding you on. You're just holding on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, you just, but you've got good balance. It's a pallet. It's only rocking a little bit.
Right. It only rocks a little bit.
Yeah. No,
it's a good pallet. It has no broken boards.
Yeah.
I'm like, stop.
Yeah. No, there was definitely, it's funny, Rob. There was a lot of that. Go find a good, no, this one's not a good one. Go find one. Yeah, no, those are the memories that are kind of funny to laugh about, only because we live, not
Yes.
I hope there aren't breweries out there still doing it. I hope everybody. Yeah.
We know they are. We hope they do it safely. And
there are things
are able to move from it.
Yeah. I have a friend who's she's a safety coordinator for the automotive industry. So when we walk into breweries, she's always looking around, and I'll be like, don't look at that. Because I know what she's looking at. I'm like, please don't look at that. This is not okay.
Yeah.
She's like, no. I'm just going to order this beer.
Yeah. Well, the state of Ohio was great, and they really helped us out a lot. I mean, they sent in people who helped us. They did audits, kind of did OSHA level audits for us, which made such a difference, because unless you're trained from the safety industry, brewers aren't really. It's like you're learning on the fly, and
the only way you learn is because something happens.
Right, and the TTB and OSHA both don't care that you didn't know the rule. The rule existed, and they're there to enforce it.
Yeah.
But OSHA is really good about sending people in to look things over and tell you what you need to correct.
Yeah.
Without writing you up.
Yeah, that has been, we've utilized that a ton in the past, and I'm a strong advocate for it. It's like, you hear these horror stories of people, oh no, they came in my brewery, I told them they didn't have any, oh, did you tell them that? Well, they're going to be back tomorrow, probably with 3 people. and they're going to turn this thing upside down like they're the DEA looking for drugs.
Right.
Everybody thinks safety is not a big deal until something bad happens.
Yeah, no, and I mean, the beer industry has been very lucky. There's, unfortunately, there's been a couple of deaths and some pretty severe injuries. But when you think about the thousands of breweries in the United States, it's,
Yeah, and that number of man hours.
Yeah.
I do think that says a lot about the brewing industry itself, though, because it is part of the reason that I am always attracted to the beer community is because of the camaraderie of it. And they're always looking out for each other.
Yeah, no, it's full of, I've always joked that because the amount of education that exists inside of breweries, the master's degrees and PhDs and really silly degrees like my own in biological anthropology, you have a group of really smart people who, if they hadn't found beer, might have ended up in prison. So,
Right.
it's a safe refuge.
We all benefit.
Yeah, safe refuge for the unemployable.
All right, we have hit the 1 hour mark, so I am definitely going to step in and start wrapping this up. And so every episode we wrap with some less beer related questions, sometimes something more just to get to know you a little. And I will go ahead so that Wendy can have time to think of one. And I will go with my standard. What is the last board game or card game that you played, and did you win?
I don't think I have an answer to that, but I know I won. People don't like to play games with me generally because I'm a very competitive person, but I don't know what that would have been.
Yeah, that's okay. Knowing that you're very competitive is a good thing to do.
No, we just had our quarterly company meeting yesterday, and the next one's the chili cook-off, and I had to do my little dance to remind them of who won the last time. and totally out of fun, not out of I think I'm better than everybody. I just always I can walk away proudly just having participated, but I love the victory.
So do you go the traditional chili route, or do you go the Cincinnati chili route?
So I kind of grew up. I grew up in the Midwest. My parents were both from Indiana, so I think it's sort of a blend of a Cincinnati chili recipe that I end up doing most of the time with ground beef and red beans
and chocolate and cinnamon.
Cinnamon, yes. I don't do chocolate, and cinnamon's not always. But competition wise, I know better. But for home use,
yeah.
Wait, do you do the professional chili competitor route?
Oh, no. I just mean for fun. No, I'm not.
A cinnamon chili is not likely to win in a regular tasting.
No.
Yeah.
I have friends that were judges at chili competitions, so I've learned a lot about chili over the years.
Yeah. No, I'm not really a purist but I appreciate the chili that level of competition and how much heart and soul goes into it.
Yes. It's definitely a passion.
I just like beans in my chili though, so I could never compete on that level.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the Texas chili. Yeah. It's to me though, in the Midwest, when you give somebody a Texas chili, they're like, "What is this?"
It's like a stew,
right?
Yeah, exactly. Isn't this a stew? This isn't chili.
All right, go ahead, Wendy.
Real quick, I have to throw in there that I recently played a board game, and I want to talk about it because yes, I did win.
Hell yeah.
I bought for my niece and nephew a game called Trekking the National Parks.
Okay.
And basically you have to go to different national parks and you have to come up with different things to camp there and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, yes, I did win.
Excellent.
I'm not 100% sure if we played by the rules 100% because my nephew couldn't remember all of the rules.
Yeah.
And he didn't bring them with him. And he's kind of like me, so he makes them up as he goes. But I won.
Yeah, that's the important part.
I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah,
I did play a beer-related game recently called Hallertau, um,
Uh,
but it's based on the region in Germany, and
Yeah.
yes, hops are one of the crops that you grow.
yeah.
I did not win though. I lost by 4 points out of I think the winner had 56 or 60, so that it was that close.
4 points isn't that big of a deal, though. Like,
Yeah.
No,
I mean, you could have won.
I could have won. It was the guy who had played it the most, the guy who brought it, and this was my first time playing, so
That
I
makes
think
sense.
it's a win.
That's a win.
Mhm.
So my question is, what is your guilty pleasure beer? If you're not drinking a Columbus Brewing beer, what beer are you drinking? What beer is in your fridge?
So this time of year, and I mean, it's funny because it's changed. I haven't, Modelo has been traditionally that beer that is in the fridge during the summertime. That's
Number one beer in the United States.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a reason. It's delicious. I apologize if any of our wholesalers who don't carry Modelo are on listen to this, but it's such a great beer. But so that hasn't been in the fridge as much. So there's still Sierra Pale though. I mean, I'm a loyalist. That's the beer that brought everybody into it, I think, and everybody my age, everybody over 40 probably, and I'm over 50, but I'll go ahead and give a gap. Some of the young kids don't know what Sierra means, but we wouldn't be here without him.
It's still a great beer.
Agreed.
Yeah. Well, Eric, do you have any events or things that you want to talk about coming up?
No, I mean, other than Wendy, when are you going to be in the area?
Second week of September, I believe. I'll let you know. I'll reach out to you and let you know when I'm going to be there.
Yeah, no, we'll have Fest Beer on, so we're going to do an Oktoberfest event in September, and I'm super excited. We may even have some early wet hops because we start brewing those as soon as we can start getting some in, which is usually early September. We start throwing those in because that's the other part is everybody. When you look at wet hops, everybody's like they want them to be done in early October, and we're like, Mosaic's just getting picked.
Yeah, we're getting into that great beer season. The Oktoberfest, the Fest beers, the wet hop beers. It's such a wonderful time of year.
Season.
It's such a wonderful time of year.
No,
I never thought as a kid, I never thought that like fall would be my favorite season, but that has such good beer.
Yeah. No, and the weather, I love it. I mean, it's such a better time to be outside, and the sun starts setting earlier because I love campfires, but I don't like being outside at 11 o'clock at night. I'm too old. I'm too old to be doing that. I like that. I like that those fall campfires where you can start them at like 7:30, 8 o'clock, and
True story. I get that.
Yeah.
Second week in September. I'll be there the 11th through the 13th.
Awesome. We'll make sure you take care of it. I think I'm actually in Yakima that week for hop selection. But
darn it.
For you.
No,
I'm sad. For you, I mean.
Yeah. I mean, I've been going out to Yakima for we've been going very seriously for the last 15, but the first time I was ever out there was in 98. And it's such a awesome place. And to me, it's still the one spot in the country where the beer community, it's back to, for me, it's what GABF was back in the early 2000s, where it's like, hey, we're just here to talk about beer. It's not a big party. I mean, though everybody's partying, but it's like, you can nerd out and get really, really specific talking about just making beer again.
Wendy, do you have anything coming up that you want to talk about?
I do not right now.
Okay. Yeah. You'll be in Columbus in September.
Yeah.
I will. I'll be in Columbus in September. I'm going to do another weekend in Grand Rapids in September. I think that's it for the next November. Well, no, we'll talk about that later. But yeah.
I have Great Taste coming up this weekend, which is, if people are listening to the podcast, I'm already there by the time you get the podcast. Or it's over.
Yeah.
And then the end of September, I will be in Grand Rapids for the weekend of Labor Day, end of August, the weekend of Labor Day. I will be in Grand Rapids at Grand Con, and happy to see anybody who wants to say hi.
That'll be awesome. I'm very jealous of the Great Taste. I've never been. We've had people go, but I've never been. And I mean, thinking back 30 years, I've wanted to go. That's pretty terrible excuse that I haven't found one year that I could make it.
I wanted to go a long time.
Burning Foot.
Yeah. I wanted to go a long time, and my son has been living in Madison for a little bit, and this is the last year he'll be living in Madison for a while, and he was able to get us tickets, so up we go.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I'd say I hope you have fun, but you will have fun.
I will have fun. It'll be great.
There's no doubt.
We don't have to hope for that.
Thunderstorms in the forecast, but it will still be fun.
The beer will still be cold.
Bring a raincoat.
Yes, that's the plan.
Not an umbrella, a raincoat.
Yes.
Yeah. Thunder,
Yeah, and you need the hand free to hold beer.
Yeah.
All right. So again, Eric, it has been wonderful talking to you. We are going to wrap this thing up. And so whatever you think of your beer, we think it's better on draft.
Cheers.
Cheers.